investigation. Once Mr. Green was murdered,
excuse me 1 second. I don't mean to interrupt you, but you used the term murdered.
Yeah,
nothing has been decided on Mr. Green being murdered.
Once he was allegedly murdered, you just took a hands-off approach and said, "I'll let the investigation take its course."
No, sir.
And in my opinion, he was murdered. And let me just preface by saying that's my opinion. Okay, thank you. You just took a hands-off approach at that point.
No, sir. We didn't take a hands-off approach.
No, you specifically. Not.
Understand this, and let me make this very clear. Mm-hmm. I am ultimately responsible for the tenure that I was at Louisiana State Police for everything that happened. Mm-hmm. I am not in any way trying to shuck that off on anybody. I am the colonel of the state police for that period, and I am responsible. Now, I trust in our processes.
That was the voice of Kevin Reeves. Colonel Kevin Reeves, former number 1 in Louisiana State Police, nearly 3 years after the death of Ronald Green. This man will not admit that the officers who were under his command beat a man to death. He's seen the video. He knows he was murdered. In fact, the badge that you see on this screen is the badge of the late Chris Hollingsworth. And the red specks that you see on that badge is the blood of the man that was beaten to death, Ronald Green. Welcome back to the show. I know it's been a minute. I've been floating between a couple channels at this point, but I'm trying to streamline everything. I'm trying to get it together. Go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't, and the notifications bell. How many days y'all think it's been since the brutal beating murder of Ronald Green? How many days? He was killed on May 19th, 2019. Drop down in the comments and tell me how many days that's been. Calculate that for me. In days. I'm going to tell you that it's been over 100 million seconds. And I emphasize seconds because when something like this happens, you can measure it in days. Yeah, you can. But the agony of it is really measured in seconds. Seconds, not days. Because every second, the people that are responsible are walking free is agonizing. There are so many questions that need to be answered. Basic questions. And I know some may think that this is an irrelevant question, but 3 years later, not a single person can confirm why he was even being stopped. What was the traffic violation? I think it's important because this is how this mess got started, with a traffic stop that not a single person can even state what was the violation he was being stopped for. So I think it's an important question. Why was he being stopped? Because this started it. Had officers not attempted to stop him, there wouldn't have been a chase. Why was he being stopped? For what violation? I can remember the last time I was pulled over. I was speeding. I know why I was stopped. But why was he stopped? Why was he stopped? Because that stop resulted in his death. And for those of you who are thinking that this was some cute little fight, it wasn't. It was a bloody mess. There was blood everywhere. Although I don't have a photograph of the other badges with blood on it, I can assure you that there was blood on everybody's badge. There were 6 or 7 officers out there, and they beat him to death. And they would have the entire world think that this 6 or 7 on one fight was difficult for them. that he was resisting. He wasn't resisting because it's clear. There's video evidence. He said, I'm scared. He was surrendering. He was pleading with him. He said, and I quote, I am your brother. I'm scared. I'm sorry. He was apologizing. But you tased him anyway, 3 or 4 times, right? But 3 years later, you can't even state why you were even stopping him. You can't state why you were stopping him. But this stop, this alleged traffic violation, resulted in a chase that resulted in his death. Louisiana State has not arrested, charged, tried, convicted, or sentenced anybody for the murder, the beating death of Ronald Green. 3 years later, over 100 million seconds. Nothing. You know, the one person that I thought would not play politics, I'm starting to believe that one person is playing politics now. I kind of wonder if there's going to be a big announcement later this year that coincides with something that has to do with the race for Attorney General in the state of Louisiana. I just wonder. I don't know. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this information. This is the badge of Chris Hollingsworth, the late Chris Hollingsworth, the Louisiana State Trooper who died the very day he was told he was going to be terminated because of his role in the beating death of Ronald Green in May of 2019. This is his badge. Now, some say he did not die as a result of, a regular car accident. I have no knowledge about the circumstances around that car accident. And to be frank with you, I don't give a damn. I don't care how he died. I shed no tears because he died in a car accident. What I know is this is his badge. And the red specks that you see on this badge is the blood of Ronald Green. He beat a man to death. And although I only have a photograph of his badge with blood on it, I can tell you that every officer that was out there had blood on their badges because blood was flying everywhere. This was not some little cute beating where there was 1 or 2 punches back and forth. It was a brutal murder. In fact, it was so gruesome that Miss Mona Hardin wasn't shown her son's body, complete body. What she saw of Ronnie was from the neck up. It's year 3, 1100, for those of you who calculated, 1160 something odd days and over 100 million seconds. And there's been no arrest. Not a single person is sitting in or has sat in a state or federal courthouse in the state of Louisiana. And I'm just trying to figure out why we keep having to beg for justice. We shouldn't have to beg for it. We shouldn't have to beg for it. Let me take you back to June, the month of June 2022. I recall learning that the DA of Union Parish, John Belton, would be receiving the file. And so he would receive the file. He now has permission to proceed with charges related to the beating death of Ronald Green. And if you're wondering why I keep repeating that, is because I don't want you to forget it. the beating death of Ronald Green. This was in June. The DA of Union Parish reportedly has received the file. He can proceed. Now, it's 3 years later, but he receives this file in June. And I'm anticipating by the end of June, I'm thinking surely before the 4th of July holiday, there would be quite a few people arrested. The 4th of July holiday arrives and passes. And I'm thinking, well, it's a holiday. And I'm thinking Tuesday, people are just getting back to work. Surely Wednesday comes, Thursday, okay, by Friday, That was a couple of weeks ago. Still no charges. 3 years later. Over 100 million seconds. People that participated in the beating death. People that participated in the cover-up. People that dropped the ball are still walking free. Still going to work every day. Still sleeping in their own bed on their comfortable pillows every night. Still eating their own food. Still, 3 years later, it is inexcusable to me and to everybody else that you would have to beg for the state of Louisiana to recognize when a man has been beaten to death, when a murder has been covered up, when you have public officials perjure themselves when they are under oath, when you have whole governors lying and they're still in office. It's inexcusable. It really is. I've seen people sit in a courthouse for many things that are not related to cold-blooded murder and be sentenced to, just ridiculous sentences. Families be destroyed for non-violent offenses. But when you have Louisiana State troopers who took an oath to protect and serve, when you have video of them killing someone and they are not convicted of anything, they're not even charged with anything, it is inexcusable that it would take 3 years just to get an arrest. Just to get an arrest. I'm going to take you back to that night. I just have, committed myself to, okay, well, maybe I need to make 1,100 episodes to highlight this. Does it take that? Should it take that in order to get attention? Should it take that? Some of you have seen some of my previous videos, and since September of last year, I have made a total of maybe 40 videos, and all of them are about 2 subjects. 1 subject, really, 2 persons. I've only talked about one thing, really, 2 people. But if I have to commit myself to getting up just an hour and a half earlier every day, and if I have to make 1,160 something odd episodes talking about this, I will do it. I will. Since September of last year, I've created about 40 videos, which by YouTube standards, I don't have a channel. There is nothing there because I realize that professional YouTube creators, content creators, they probably create about 40 videos in a week. I realize that. But I've created about 40 videos since last year, and 3/4 of them are shorts. The remainder are about one subject. I've been talking about the same thing since last year. The same thing, nearly nothing else. Occasionally, I may have some free time to create content about something else. But it's been one thing. And I just feel like I need to hit a reset button, because if I have to get up an hour and a half earlier every day, I will. I don't want to, but I will. I feel like I need to make 1,100 and, if I have to make 1,170 something odd videos for every day that nobody was charged in order to highlight what has happened, I will. I will do it. So I guess this is episode 1 of 1,100 something. This is episode 1. Until somebody is sitting in a courthouse, somebody has been arrested, charged, tried, convicted, and sentenced. I'm not going to stop talking about this. This is what it is, unfortunately. Until each person, the officers who beat him to death, the officers who stood around, did not provide any basic life support, the people that dropped the ball, the officers who were not there, they didn't participate in the beating, but assisted with the cover-up afterwards. Until everybody is charged and held accountable for the role that they have played in this, I'm going to make a video. Maybe I'll make one for each day. It's been over 3 years, 1,100 and some odd days, over 100 million seconds. And not a single person has been held accountable. Not one. I would appreciate it if you would share this video, like the video, share it. But more importantly than that, contact the District Attorney, John Belton. Find out what is taking so long. What is taking so long? Demand Governor John Bel Edwards step down. Because at this point, it is evident that John Bel Edwards, the governor, and others, Lamar Davis, Chavez Cameron, Kenny Van Buren, the 3 men that made history in the state of Louisiana, it is evident, and Oliphant, it is evident that all of them knew Ronnie did not die from a car accident. They all knew, in my opinion, that he was beaten to death, but they participated in a cover-up. How could you? How could you? How could 3 black men participate in that? How do you sleep at night? I'll just leave it there. Like the video, share it, but more importantly, contact John Belton, the District Attorney, Union Parish. Ask him what is taking so long. Demand that Governor John Bel Edwards resign. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Good night.